North America's political landscape is shifting. The region is entering a new era, with fresh faces and bold ideas emerging at the highest levels of government. These changes are not just symbolic, they have the potential to reshape the relationships and security strategies that define the continent. In Mexico, President Claudia Sheinbaum's inauguration marks a turning point in the fight against drug cartels. As the country's first female president, Sheinbaum brings a new perspective and a sense of urgency to tackling the violence and instability that have plagued Mexico for decades. Her leadership is seen as a beacon of hope for millions of Mexicans longing for peace and security. Her administration is signaling unprecedented openness to U.S. security collaboration, a sharp break from the past. Unlike previous leaders, Sheinbaum is willing to engage in direct dialogue and build trust with American counterparts, recognizing that cross-border cooperation is essential to address shared threats. For years, Mexico's hugs, not bullets policy failed to curb cartel violence or drug flows. Despite good intentions, the approach left communities vulnerable and allowed criminal organizations to expand their influence. The public's frustration grew as violence continued to escalate, and calls for a new strategy became impossible to ignore. Now, Sheinbaum's government is actively seeking U.S. technology, intelligence and training to dismantle criminal networks destabilizing both countries. This includes advanced surveillance tools, joint task forces, and real-time information sharing, resources that could tip the balance in the fight against organized crime. This is more than a policy tweak, it's a fundamental shift in Mexico's security strategy. The government is not just reacting to violence, but proactively building new frameworks for law enforcement, intelligence, and international cooperation. Sheinbaum's administration is determined to restore public trust and demonstrate that real change is possible. The new partnership could reshape the fight against organized crime, enabling joint operations and intelligence sharing previously unthinkable. By working together, both nations hope to disrupt the powerful cartels that have long operated with impunity, and to create safer communities on both sides of the border. Success will depend on balancing effective collaboration with respect for Mexico's sovereignty. Both governments must navigate complex political realities and ensure that cooperation does not come at the expense of national pride or independence. For the first time in years, political will exists on both sides of the border, a rare chance to change the course of the drug war. If leaders can maintain momentum and deliver results, this moment could mark the beginning of a safer, more secure future for North America. U.S. Representative Dan Crenshaw, a Texas Republican and former Navy SEAL, is seizing this moment. Known for his direct approach and military background, Crenshaw has become a leading voice in the fight against cartel violence and border insecurity. He recognizes that the current political climate, with new leadership in Mexico, presents a rare chance to reshape the U.S.-Mexico security relationship. Crenshaw argues that Sheinbaum's willingness to partner is a fleeting opportunity for a real security alliance. He believes that with the right cooperation, both countries can finally address the root causes of violence and instability that have plagued the region for decades. He's led a congressional task force, holding over 30 hearings with experts, and concludes the cartels are a terrorist insurgency threatening both nations. These hearings have brought together intelligence officials, law enforcement, and policy experts, all of whom agree that the threat is growing more sophisticated and deadly. Crenshaw rejects unilateral U.S. action. Instead, he envisions empowering Mexico with advanced surveillance, air support, and Black Hawk helicopters. He stresses that only by working together, sharing intelligence, technology, and resources, can the two nations hope to dismantle the cartel's networks. His doctrine is clear: enable, don't replace. The goal is to strengthen Mexico's own capabilities, so they can take the lead in securing their country, with the U.S. acting as a committed partner rather than an outside enforcer. This approach is gaining traction in Congress, and with President Trump, who agrees a tougher stance is needed. Lawmakers from both parties are beginning to see the value in a joint strategy that respects Mexico's sovereignty while protecting American interests. Crenshaw insists the U.S. has a direct security interest. Cartels fuel the fentanyl crisis, human trafficking, and regional instability. The devastating impact of these crimes is felt in communities across America, from small towns to major cities, making the fight urgent and personal. The time for passive measures is over. The crisis at the border and the rising death toll from opioids demand immediate, coordinated action. The U.S. must act decisively, in partnership with Mexico, to dismantle the cartel's grip. Only through unity and shared resolve can both nations hope to restore safety and stability. The window is open, but it won't stay that way for long. If leaders fail to act now, the chance for meaningful change could slip away, leaving both countries vulnerable. The stakes couldn't be higher. The decisions made in the coming months will shape the future of security and cooperation on both sides of the border. The White House reinforced this new strategy with a landmark move, signaling a dramatic shift in how the U.S. confronts organized crime at its borders. On January 20, 2025, President Trump officially designated several of the most powerful Mexican cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, or FTOs. This decision marked a historic moment in U.S. policy, elevating the fight against cartels to a matter of national and international security. With this designation, the U.S. government unlocks a suite of powerful legal tools, freezing cartel assets, criminalizing any form of material support, and expanding the reach of law enforcement to target financial networks and supporters both at home and abroad. It also unleashes the full force of U.S. intelligence and military resources, allowing agencies to coordinate in ways previously reserved for counterterrorism operations. The FTO label places these cartels in the same category as ISIS or Al-Qaeda, dramatically raising the stakes for anyone associated with them and sending a clear message to the world. This move signals a new era of pressure and risk for cartel operations worldwide, as international partners are now compelled to act alongside the U.S. in dismantling these organizations. Crenshaw and Trump are united in this approach. This executive order lays the legal foundation for unprecedented intelligence sharing, joint operations, and a unified front against cartel violence. The executive order serves as the policy framework, outlining the government's new priorities and empowering agencies to act decisively. Meanwhile, Crenshaw's legislation is the operational engine, providing the resources, authorities, and oversight needed to sustain this aggressive campaign. Together, these efforts form a coordinated, multi-pronged U.S. strategy, one that brings together law enforcement, intelligence, military, and diplomatic channels in a unified mission. The message is clear. The United States now treats cartels as a direct national security threat, not merely as criminal gangs, and will respond with the full weight of its power. The stage is set for unprecedented action, as America enters a new chapter in its fight against cartel violence and transnational crime. Crenshaw's North America First Security Assistance Initiative turns policy into action. The bill funds training, intelligence, and advanced military equipment, like Black Hawk helicopters and surveillance platforms, for vetted Mexican forces. It's a targeted, multi-agency effort coordinating the Pentagon, intelligence community, DEA, FBI, and DOJ. The goal: help Mexico dismantle cartels from leadership to finances, with U.S. support, but Mexican forces in the lead. Backed by President Trump and bipartisan leaders, the initiative is framed as a homeland security investment. The strategy: take the fight to the cartels on their turf, with Mexico as the driving force. It's a proactive, partnership-based approach. Cooperation comes with boundaries. President Sheinbaum welcomes U.S. support but draws a firm line: no unilateral U.S. military raids on Mexican soil. This reflects deep sensitivities about sovereignty, rooted in a long, complicated history. Mexico insists on equal partnership. Assistance, yes. Foreign boots leading combat, no. U.S. officials, including Crenshaw, get it. The plan is advise and assist, not invade. Small U.S. teams would train and advise vetted Mexican units, helping with planning and technology, but Mexicans lead the fight. This model respects sovereignty while leveraging U.S. expertise. Success depends on trust, transparency, and constant communication. Sheinbaum is taking a political risk. She must show Mexicans this is a partnership of equals. The U.S. must empower, not control. Navigating this diplomatic tightrope is crucial. The blueprint? Plan Colombia. In the late 1990s, U.S. aid helped Colombia dismantle cartels and restore state control, not by invading, but by training, advising, and equipping Colombian forces. U.S. Special Forces provided intelligence, helicopters, and surveillance, empowering Colombians to lead. Crenshaw and others see this as the model for Mexico: embed U.S. advisors, share real-time intelligence, and deliver advanced hardware. The aim isn't to Americanize the fight, but to give Mexico the tools to win. But Mexico's context is unique. Cartels are more fragmented, violent, and embedded in communities. Adapting the Colombian model will require nuance and a focus on local realities. Success means addressing corruption and economic roots, not just military action. The partnership must be tailored, flexible, and deeply informed by conditions on the ground. The urgency is real. Cartels threaten the very fabric of both nations. In Mexico, they act as parallel governments, spreading violence, corruption, and fear. In the US, the fentanyl crisis, driven by Mexican cartels, is the leading killer of young adults. Cartels also profit from human trafficking, fueling border chaos and humanitarian disaster. Their reach destabilizes economies and undermines institutions on both sides. Leaders like Crenshaw call this a terrorist insurgency. Violence, intimidation, and mass casualties for power and profit. The shared threat demands a united national defense-level response. The political stars are aligned for a historic US-Mexico partnership. For Mexico, US support could help reclaim territory, reduce violence, and restore the rule of law. For the US, it means less fentanyl, fewer trafficking networks, and a more stable neighbor. The North America First initiative aims for mutual security and prosperity. Success will require trust, resources, and relentless commitment. Both governments must root out corruption and empower only the most trustworthy units. The strategy must target cartel leaders, finances, and their protectors. The coming months will test this alliance. If both sides deliver, this could mark the beginning of the end for the cartels. A new era of security and shared responsibility is within reach.